guys, it's me Elaine. I'm here to talk about what is Olympic weightlifting, how you can get started in Olympic weightlifting training, and I'll go over my training that I did today and kind of walk you guys through what a typical training day looks like. Let's start with what is Olympic weightlifting. It's a sport that is in the Olympics. It's a summer Olympic sport, so they just had it in summer 2016 in Rio. The next one's in Tokyo 2020. And basically it consists of two lifts. Everybody lifts on one, in the weight category that you're in competition, you lift on one bar and the weight goes up. You have three lifts, 3 attempts, and your highest snatch plus combined with your highest clean and jerk is your total. First lift competition is the snatch. Snatch is taking a barbell with weights on it and bringing it from the ground overhead. The clean and jerk is 2 movements. So you clean, which is bringing it from the ground to a front rack position, and a jerk is bringing it from your front rack all the way overhead with your elbows locked out. That's just the basic of what is weightlifting. So I'm going to talk about what it's not. Weightlifting, when people find out, say for example at work that I weightlift, the first thing they think is, you can probably bench press me, can't you? Some people think, oh, you're a power lifter. You can deadlift and all that. So powerlifting is not Olympic weightlifting. Powerlifting is a competition in bench press, deadlift, and back squat. And you get a total from that, and that's powerlifting. It's not bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is specifically for aesthetics. It's judged based on subjective measures versus weightlifting is very objective. It's a number of weight that you can lift. Weightlifting is not bodybuilding. CrossFit is something completely different, although some people will think that CrossFit and weightlifting are very similar. CrossFit has weightlifting in it, but the sport of Olympic weightlifting and training in that is a totally different sport. And also it is not cardio. You're coming to do weightlifting training and expecting to have a big sweat unless it's burning hot inside the gym. You're not going to be drenched in sweat usually for your first few weightlifting sessions. What is weightlifting training? So basically for me, what weightlifting training consists of is usually we will do a warm-up, some glute activation with a band that we activate all our glute muscles. We do our warm-ups together. We do like a get loose, we call it, and we do a bunch of drills. We also do bar warm-up, it's very important. And then we usually do a snatch routine, some kind of snatch workout, if it's like doubles, if it's like technique work. There's all sorts of variations of the snatch that can help you in your particular needs. Snatch is a very technical move, so usually people have different places in their body that they need work on, so there's a lot of technique that can be personalized to you for the snatch. And then usually we have some kind of clean variation or a clean and jerk, and then there's usually a squat and then a performance care or some kind of accessory work after the workout, usually tailored to the accessory muscles that we use. But we basically train all the muscles that we need to get stronger for the lift. So everything we're doing, like the squats and all the accessory work, all tailored to make you better at the 2 lifts that this sport is about. Stuff you will need to bring for your first weightlifting session. So one is an open mind. It is very different. Weightlifting is completely different from anything else. It's different from CrossFit. Like I said, my first time training in weightlifting was because I wanted to get better at lifting for CrossFit. And I was so surprised when I was at the gym for 3 hours. I didn't break a sweat, and I was lifting very lightweight. So I was really confused how I can get a good workout. And I was at the gym for 3 hours. So basically, I had to switch my mindset from going from being used to CrossFit and comparing that to weightlifting. I have to get used to, this is weightlifting training now. So just get used to training those 2 lifts. That's it. And all the accessory work that goes around that are for those 2 lifts. So keep an open mind. 2, a gym bag with a towel, water. I would say for your first time, just bring your gym bag, your body, shoes. If you don't have weightlifting shoes and you don't want to invest in them yet, they are kind of pricey. You can use something with a hard bottoms like Converse, Vans, or if you have CrossFit shoes, you can wear those, usually like a Reebok Nano or something. But I don't recommend wearing running shoes or soft bottom shoes. You might risk injury. It's less stable, so it's like lifting on marshmallows, as my husband would say. Also, you will need a coach. So I do recommend that for your very first time weightlifting, even if you've been CrossFitting, you're gonna want a coach, and a coach that knows that it is your first time doing weightlifting training, so they can keep a closer eye on you and make sure you're doing the appropriate weight, that your technique is good, and they can also do a mobility assessment. A lot of people can try weightlifting and do weightlifting, but it does require a certain amount of mobility, but mostly you can work towards that and eventually start lifting and having fun lifting. Sometimes weightlifting gyms are a little bit smaller, and you have to share a bar with other people, become friends with people very quickly. So in weightlifting training, if you get pretty serious and you start coming 5-6 times a week, or 4 to 5 to 6 times a week, you get to know people, and you get close with these people. Another thing to consider is the time that it takes to complete a weightlifting training. Some people, like kids, masters, or if you're just doing it in conjunction with other sports like CrossFit or running or other conditioning, then probably you're just going to have time to do this 2 to 3 times a week, which is pretty good still, actually. So 2 to 3 times, 2 to 3 hours usually, depending on how much you talk. I tend to talk a lot at the gym, so the time I'm there ends up being a longer amount of time. Another thing to understand, it takes time to get stronger. I'm still in progress and trying to make breakthroughs in my own personal lifting, but it did take a very, very, very long time for me to get comfortable. And in the beginning, definitely I was a little self-conscious. I wasn't lifting that much weight. I was afraid of what others were thinking of me or judging me. I'm still thinking that. I'm still perfecting and working on my technique every day, but understanding every day that it takes time, and the key is that you just need to be consistent. You need to keep showing up. Some things that will help you be a good athlete is set some goals that you want to achieve, whether it is to qualify for a meet or an event, or if it's just to lift a certain number, or if it's about gains, about measurements and physique, then definitely set goals. It's good to train with a goal in mind. That will keep you motivated day in and day out to keep showing up and keep putting in the hard work. So consistency is definitely the key. Also, you want to stay healthy and injury-free. You don't want to keep doing repetitive movements. Weightlifting is, as Oscar Chaplin would say, conserving your energy for the lifts. You notice there's a lot of sitting down in weightlifting in between sets, in between lifts. A lot of people sit down, rest their back, rest their legs. If you have a back rest, even better, rest your back. You want to mobilize, recover. You want to stretch. I personally do ROMWOD. My husband and I have a subscription, so we try to do that as much as possible. If you can afford massages, get massages. If you can do a cold plunge or a spa, sauna, ice bath, fish oil, BCAAs and supplements, things like that. All those things to help you recover, taking rest days, all those things to help you lift as much as you can and feel good, because you can only lift as much as your body will allow you to, day in and day out. Another thing is, when I transitioned from CrossFit to weightlifting, I ate a lot more when I did CrossFit. Even if I'm maxing out, that's not a lot of reps. And so I actually am not entitled to as much food. So eating well, eating good, eating a balanced diet with lots of vegetables, protein, fats, and carbs. Watch my other video for how to track your macros. And getting a lot of sleep. Sleep and diet are 2 things that you could definitely do now that you don't have to order anything from Amazon. You can do it today. Okay. And another thing too is being a coachable athlete. You want to be honest with your coach. You want to tell your coach how you're feeling. You want to tell your coach if the program is helping you, if it's hurting you, if it's too long, it's too short, it's not working on your weaknesses. You want to be honest with your coach. You want to be close with your coach. You want to get along with your coach. That relationship is very important. Luckily, I have a very good coach. His name's Kaleo. Follow him on Instagram. This week, I wrote down my schedule, and then since I work full-time, we went in and added all the days that I'll be training, when I'm going to be training, and what time, and keeping me accountable. And coach, very important. Also, you want to keep track of your workouts. So I just want to show you guys some of my notebooks from the past. This notebook I filled up. This was from 2 years ago before I was pregnant. This I just started off by writing something very simple. So for example, I wrote down diet good and okay, made a comment about my bowel movement, so I won't go there. Okay. Okay, so anyways, you get the gist. I wrote down my diet on one side and I wrote down my training on the other side. So that was like kind of when I was beginning tracking. And then when I came back to weightlifting this time around, I was starting to get a little more detailed with what I was writing. This is my current notebook. This is the one I'm using now. So I go through a bunch just because I like notebooks. So now I'm a lot more detail, even more detailed. So nowadays I'm even writing down what weights that I take to warm up to get to the weight, my working weights. For example, today I worked up to a double at 55 kilos. So I wrote down, took the bar and then 35 kilos for 3 singles, 40 for 2, 43, 47. So I'm being a little more strategic and seeing how I feel the way I move up, because sometimes I tend to move up too quickly, too slowly, and take too many reps. By the time you get to your working sets, you're super tired. So I've been taking notes on that and following what felt good for me on a particular day. And then I write down like how I felt. Like for example, one of my snatch doubles, I made a comment that my contact was poor on that set, but even though I didn't miss it. And I write down my performance care and my diet, my macros. So far on point today, guys. So good job for me. Another key aspect in being successful is to stay positive, keep a positive attitude. Some days we are having bad days and that there's a lot of things going on in our lives. Even when lifts are not going your way and you're making a lot of misses, you have to stay positive and be happy for your teammates when they're making good lifts and cheer people on. Please stay positive. It's really important to keep a positive attitude in weightlifting. So I'm curious about what you guys think. I'm sure I left a lot of stuff out. So comment below if you have anything to add, or if anything I said is confusing. If you have any questions, comment below. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video.